Good afternoon, friends. You must have encountered few people. Some are very extreme and blunt and honest in their stance. They have very clear cut clarity on what they want to stand for, and they are pretty vocal about those things. You might have also witnessed few people who are pretty very diplomatic. They never take a stance, they never publicly say what's in their heart, what's their opinion on few topics. You will see some of these people avoiding all these concepts like religiosity, religion, spirituality, politics, different wars happening in the rest of the world. And some might misjudge these people as like crooked and manipulative, dishonest individuals. Let me share an interesting story about one of my client. So she used to live in an totalitarian country. In her society, religious fervor used to take the front seat and common sense and logic used to take the back seat. So she used to feel like suffocated, crumbling down under the pressure of the societal expectations and the regime's totalitarian oppressive module of controlling women and men. You will never gonna see an iota of freedom of expression and freedom of speech in their society. Coming from such background, she got an opportunity to go and study in Western world. After finishing 6 months in that Western democracy, she came to realize that what it means to be living in a free society in free world, what it means to have freedom of speech and expression, freedom to eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, look like however you want, and be whatever you want. So we are talking about the period of the early onset of COVID. She was confined to her hostel and she was going through and attending all these online classes, and she started to explore various religiosities, ideologies, philosophies, the things that were happening in the rest of the world. Internet acted like a great tool to her. She exercised her full franchise in educating herself, learning about different cultures, different ideologies, different country cultures and the nuances of their civilizations. Once bitten by this activist bug, she started exploring her own countries and governments' flaws. She started to question all these ideologies. Initially, she haven't received any backlash or any recognition. After continuing her path in that social media activism journey, slowly government started to take cognizance of her voice. Within couple of weeks, her family was targeted. They were put under so much of pressure and scrutiny, and government put up a false case on her father. If proven guilty, he could have gone to jail for 21 years. In such circumstances, she came to me and approached me about her situation and the kind of trouble she was in. So we meticulously planned a strategy to get rid of that whatever burden that was hanging on her father's head. So we created a story stating that one of her jilted lovers who was rejected by her hijacked her social media account and started posting all these insidious posts from her behalf. And because she was not an avid social media follower, she didn't came to understand and know that somebody is doing this manipulative tactic to harm her and her family and bring a great disrepute to the family and herself. So we posted such statement on behalf of her and said that we didn't want to hurt or engage in any mudslinging or tarnishing the image of the government. We love and respect the leader, and so on and so forth. Strategically, for the next 1 week, what we did, we posted continuous posts supporting the government and regime and the rules and regulations and how those rules and regulations are working in favor of women. So the government took the cognizance and they took the bait, and we openly communicated in emails to the government authorities stating that our stance is clear on this issue. At the end of the day, it might seem like we crumbled under the pressure of the government or some authoritative regime, but you see that we were able to save that woman's life, that woman's family's future, and her father's life also. You see that we might think that we have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, we could talk whatever we want. We need to look into the small factors like our activism, our stance might cost our family members, our dear ones, a great deal. By backtracking on her stance, she was able to safeguard her family's future. But the government requested her to come back to her native country. But smartly what we did, we said she got a new job, and we stated that whatever she is earning, she is going to send like 70 to 80% of the money as in remittances to the family. It is going to boost the foreign exchange reserves of that country. At the end of the day, we were able to convince that government not to be putting more pressure on that girl's family. You see that we are living in a free society and free world. We might not be able to understand such instances. But look at the Middle Eastern countries or some South African countries or even South American countries, you will be able to understand the ground reality. People might not have the luxury of exercising freedom of speech. In those countries, your freedom of expression might cost your life, might cost your job, your career, your business prospects, your marital relationships. If you have to say in a nutshell, it could cost your entire family's future and safety and security and prosperity and well-being. Let me share one story. Like, there is a bird's nest. In that bird's nest there are four chicks who are equally fighting for the same food resources, space, and the chicks are not happy about the overcrowding of the nest. There is this constant infighting going on in between the chicks. Obviously they are not happy about being in that close conformity. They might be feeling like restless, claustrophobic, might going through a great amount of suffocation because of the tiny space that they are forced to live in. So there is this constant skirmish of pecking, poking, kicking, and trying to outdo other chick by sabotaging its siblings' fortune or life. There is this great amount of possibility of them living longer or surviving their hardships. So these four chicks are constantly yanking at each other and fighting and squeaking and in a way calling each other some names and shouting and doing all sorts of nasty stuff. So from that four chicks, one of the chicks perks outside of the nest. It watches, stands on its feet and watches what is above and after the nest. It was able to see a beautiful Amazon jungle. First time in its life, it was able to see that the vastness of that jungle, outer space. She understands that there is life outside of the nest. If we think that we have a limited resource and there is the scarcity of resources and space, there is this possibility of continuing this infighting. But when you are able to understand that there is this vast world outside, there are greater opportunities are lurking outside, you have a great scope to flourish and live a beautiful life, you would stop infighting. Then you would start being and becoming a diplomatic communicator. You will not be worried about the tiny space that you are sharing with your chicks and your fellow siblings. You would be waiting for your golden opportunities outside of this small nest. The first thing that I would like to share is that being diplomatic in communication would preserve your relationships. It would safeguard your brand image. In a way, it will help you in developing and building your emotional intelligence. You might be in some sort of frustration, you might be feeling anger about some issue. Try to curtail, try to control your emotions. Try to be more diplomatic in your communication. It's going to help you in your career and social and future prospects. Until we meet next time, this is Gautam signing off. Namaste.